Today we're going to deep dive London's legendary bar scene so you could booze it up like a pro.
London is world-renowned for its famous pubs, high-end cocktail bars, and everything in between. It can be overwhelming whether you're new to the London drinking scene or if you're a local that wants to explore.
So I'm going to break down some criteria that you should consider. Try to make your choice a little bit easier. So come on, let's get our drink on. So a pub's vibe might be one of the most important aspects when you choose your destination. And one of the most popular types of pubs in the London area is a Victorian pub.
A proper Victorian pub features dark wood, low ceilings, ornate fixtures, multi-pane windows, and usually a fireplace. You'll find lots of small rooms and partitions left over from the 1800s when there was the need to segregate patrons by class, social standing, and even gender. But the atmosphere and vibe is usually pretty cozy and quiet. On the other hand, there are pubs with wide open drinking spaces that cater to a larger, more raucous crowd. Although a large open layout is more typical of a modern bar, there are plenty of traditional pubs with a large main bar area along with separate rooms. Of course, you'll find the extremes of pub culture in every corner of London. There's the no-frills boozer, which is just there to serve you alcohol, and the other extreme is the ultra-trendy cocktail bar. Sometimes you can find these in expensive hotels or exclusive neighborhoods like Chelsea or Marylebone. If you want to dress up and celebrate a special occasion, you'll surely have a memorable experience in a place like this. If you prefer to stay relatively within your age group, a scene like Camden will cater to a much younger crowd than you'll find in Mayfair, for instance.
There are pubs with history all over London, and it's kind of cool to get a pint where maybe Dickens or Shakespeare had one. You can also find the history of gangsters, maybe at the Blind Beggar, or you can find some military history, maybe at the Grenadier, or right here, you can find some rock history at the Howley Arms.
No matter where you end up going, you're sure to find a pub with the ambiance that's just right for you.
I hope you're enjoying the videos. It's your likes, subscribes, and shares that keep me going. And one of the things I really love is going to these neighborhoods that I wouldn't normally go to and finding things like these pockets of pubs that are just in these towns.
Some examples are Richmond, Greenwich, and Hampstead. If you're a visitor in London and you prefer to stay close to the tourist areas, I'd recommend the excellent Covent Garden pubs over the cheesy Leicester Square or Piccadilly Circus for more authentic experiences. As a matter of fact, the only chain restaurant that I would recommend in London is the original Hard Rock in Mayfair. Just don't go to the one in Piccadilly. That one's rubbish. There's an in-between to these locations, as you can easily take short rides on the Underground to places like Whitechapel, Notting Hill, Waterloo, and Holland Park to find some of my favorite neighborhood pubs.
So if anybody asks, the first place I send them to is Soho. It's right in the middle of the city, and it's the perfect combination of high-end places and traditional pubs. Doesn't matter what age you are, you will love coming to Soho. The food and drink menu is one of my favorite factors for choosing a pub.
The British pub menu is outstanding, from fish and chips to sausages and mash to pies like this beauty. But that's not all. There are several London pubs that have international cuisines like Thai food at Churchill Arms, American barbecue at the Blues Kitchen, Canadian dishes at the Maple Leaf, and Belgian food at the Lowlander on Drury Lane.
If you see a Green King sign, you can pretty much bet the food's going to be pretty good. But for my money, if you go to an unaffiliated pub, you are going to get the best British comfort food you've ever had.
And speaking of affiliated pubs, you might find a drink selection that's tied in with a pub group like The Ship, which is a Fuller's pub. There are also several local breweries like Camden Town, Brewdog, The Colonel, and my favorite, Beavertown. Back to food. Though appetizers are widely available, many London pubgoers are happy with a simple bag of crisps or nuts. You'll also come across several gastropubs with high-end menus. But in London, it seems like the pub is the priority no matter how good the food is.
One more thing, I would strongly recommend a booking.
Oh, and be careful. There's got to be a dozen Red Lions, White Horses, and King George pubs in this city. Make sure you're booking the correct one.
I'm not going to lie to you. London is pretty expensive. You're going to pay about £7.50 to £8 for a pint. But you know what? You're really going to enjoy that pint. And for that price, you should.
The further you go away from central London, the less the pints will cost, especially in the more local, less touristy pubs.
Just £5. Nice. Okay, I simply cannot do a London pub guide without mentioning Wetherspoons.
Wetherspoons is a very large chain of pubs that's quite polarizing among Londoners. The price of pints and food is generally £2 to £4 less than most pubs, but Wetherspoons doesn't have the charm, ambiance, or history of a typical London pub. If you're American, think Applebee's or TGI Fridays. Now, would you really want that out of your visit to London?
Look, I get it. If you want a cheap pint or a breakfast before a game and you don't want to pay too much, Wetherspoons has its place. But no local will ever tell you it's their go-to pub.
Finally, I'll mention the expensive places like the American Bar and Obelix, where a drink can cost anywhere from 18 to 40 pounds. To be fair, anytime my wife and I have splurged on a high-end experience, it was memorable, whether it was the view, the vibe, or the eye-popping cocktails.
Kind of pub is a little tied in with atmosphere, but I can guarantee you whatever you're looking for, you will find in this world-class city.
You like beer gardens? They're everywhere from Richmond's Marlborough to the Pembroke Castle in Primrose Hill. If you're into breweries, you can go to a number of them on the Bermondsey Beer Mile. Or you can head up to Brick Lane and go to the Truman Brewery.
If you prefer wine, try Gordon's Wine Bar right here on Villiers Street. It's London's oldest wine bar, and as you can see, the interior is really cool. It's lit by candlelight, and you're sitting right in the wine cellar.
Looking for a place to watch the match? Televisions in pubs are not as common as you would think, so if you walk in and see big screens and a predominantly male crowd, you're in a London sports bar. How about some live music? Some standouts are the Water Rats in King's Cross, the Old Blue Last in Shoreditch, and the Half Moon in Putney. Not to mention just about every pub in Camden and Soho. If you're into people watching, take advantage of all the pubs with outdoor seating in Kensington, Covent Garden, Soho, and Fitzrovia. On the other hand, if you want real privacy, try one of London's speakeasies, like Evans & Peel Detective Agency in Earl's Court. Trendy downtown and hotel bars are classy and intimate settings to impress your date.
And speaking of dates, try the French House in Soho. They prohibit cell phones and they don't play loud music, so you'll be able to hear your companion.
So whatever you're looking for at any given time, London's clearly got the bar scene for you.
So I hesitate to recommend a pub because what you're looking for might be totally different than what I'm looking for, but I will talk about some of my favorites, including this, the Queen in Primrose Hill, which is where my wife and I like to come for a drink when we want to do some people watching.
If I'm going to pick a tourist pub that's actually fun and pleasant to go to, the Churchill Arms in Kensington is definitely the pick. The pub is absolutely beautiful and classic, and you just can't beat it at Christmas time.
Okay, you've seen me at the Marquee a lot in my videos, and it's because if I want to listen to music and hang out with a really fun crowd, the Marquee is the place to go.
If you want to show off to an out-of-town guest, everyone loves Ye Olde Mitre in Holborn. Its hidden-away location is fun to get to, and the quintessential British pub is both historic and photogenic.
A very fascinating and quite notorious pub is right here in Whitechapel on Whitechapel High Street. This is the White Hart, and it's got a lot of Jack the Ripper history.
If you want to enjoy a rare warm summer day in London, The Swan on Bayswater Road has a patio overlooking Hyde Park, which is scenic and relaxing. For celebrating a special occasion or dazzling your date, it's really hard to beat a rooftop view like Wagtail on Cannon Street.
So my favorite overall, that's a close one between the Marquee and here at the Holly Bush. But if you're gonna follow my criteria, I like a very traditional pub, I love great food, I love a fantastic staff, and that is all right here. So my recommendation for my favorite pub in London is the Holly Bush in Hampstead. I hope this video helped you narrow down the absurd choices you have, or maybe it inspired you to try someplace new. Either way, if you would consider a super thanks, your support really helps the channel grow and I appreciate it. Cheers.